In 1969, two of the toughest actors in Hollywood, the Oscar-winning veteran Lee Marvin and the emerging man with no name Clint Eastwood, united for what should have been a blockbuster. Instead, the musical western Paint Your Wagon became one of the most famously chaotic, expensive, and baffling movie failures of all time. The real drama, however, wasn't on the screen. It was in the remote Oregon forests where they filmed. Near the end of his life, the notoriously blunt Lee Marvin finally broke his silence on the disaster, exposing exactly what the grueling 10-month shoot confirmed about Clint Eastwood: the suspicions the industry had about his cold, calculated approach to fame, and his surprisingly callous treatment of those closest to him. The contrast: chaos versus calculation. The production of Paint Your Wagon was a logistical nightmare exacerbated by its stars' personalities. Lee Marvin, known for his tough guy authenticity, spent most of the production drunk and famously belligerent. His chaotic energy was a source of constant frustration for the director. Clint Eastwood, however, was the picture of control, but this control was what Marvin found damning. While Marvin was causing public scandals, Eastwood was quietly and coldly managing his career. Marvin exposed the suspicion that Eastwood was relentlessly calculating, always ensuring his image remained intact, even as the production descended into chaos. The contrast highlighted a fundamental difference in their codes of honor. Marvin was a reckless friend. Eastwood was a careful businessman. The devastation, the Jean Seberg affair, the greatest tragedy of the set, and the incident that solidified Marvin's private contempt for Eastwood, involved their co-star Jean Seberg. Seberg and Eastwood began an intense, very public affair while filming, adding a layer of personal scandal to the already volatile atmosphere. When Seberg's husband, writer Romain Gary, flew to the remote location, he reportedly challenged Eastwood to a duel. Marvin later exposed that when the affair ended, Eastwood essentially ghosted Seberg, immediately returning to his own wife and leaving Seberg to face the messy fallout alone. For the old-school, rough but loyal Marine veteran Marvin, this lack of responsibility and cold emotional detachment was the ultimate betrayal of character, a confirmation that the king of cool was, in fact, emotionally absent. The final verdict: a calculated distance. Before his death, Lee Marvin's reflections on the film weren't just about the bad singing. They were a quiet, powerful verdict on the man he worked with. He confirmed what many in Hollywood suspected. Clint Eastwood was a genius director and an iconic star, but his focus on control and self-preservation came at a significant human cost. Marvin exposed the essential truth that lay beneath Eastwood's steely facade: a willingness to maintain a calculated distance from the messiness of life and the consequences of his own actions, a trait that both fueled his career and earned him the quiet, bitter disdain of the old tough guy, Lee Marvin.